Hi Stitchy friends, my name is Barb. You've reached my channel here on YouTube called Stitch Brat Stew, where I talk about all things cross stitch. Today is Sunday, October 29th, and I'm coming to you as usual from my little home office area. It's been a little bit more than a month, or just about a month, since I filmed last, so I do have quite a few things to show you, maybe 10 or 12 whips that I've been working on, and I have a really big finish, and then I have some happy mail that I'm going to show you, probably instead of a couple of other things, because showing the happy mail is actually going to take a little bit of time. And then plans for, I guess, November probably, and the rest of the year, and that'll probably wrap things up. So we'll get started with my finish. If you have seen any of my previous floss tubes, or oh, by the way, this is floss tube number 5. I think I forgot to say that. So if you've seen any of my other floss tubes, earlier ones, or you follow me on Instagram where I'm also Stitch Brat, then you know what this finish is, but in any case, I'm going to show it. Okay, this is my big finish, a long time coming. This is Halloween Hijinks. The pattern is from Carolyn Manning Designs, and I'm going to bring it a little closer to the camera, so hopefully you can see, and I'll try to pan a little bit so you can see parts of it a little bit better. I've talked about this project quite a lot, so I won't say most of the same things. It's one of Carolyn's quilt-based designs, and each little square is different in the middle of the whole thing. And of course, as you can see, some of them form little patterns together. You know, like right here, these make this adorable little tree. Anyway, there's some really cute elements here. So I finished this just the other day, just in time for Halloween. I had hosted a stitch along, starting last October 1st, and the chart had been divided into 12 segments, and the idea was we were supposed to stitch a segment every month and be done October 1st this year. So I got a little bit behind, just life and vacation and all that, but I did finish it up, and as it turns out, right in time for Halloween. So I'm just going to share a couple of my favorite parts of this design. I do love this tree. I love how these little squares all come together to make that tree. Another favorite element is this little tree and moon right here. I mean, there's like nothing to that square, but it is just like that bear tree and the moon just like screams Halloween. I also love this little guy up here. He's a ghost hiding behind a tree branch. He's very cute. And then this one was one of the last things I did. These adorable spiders in the corner with their very complicated little spider web. So the squares are mostly Halloween-based things, pumpkins and words and ghosts and things. But then there's also just some blocks that are kind of reminiscent of quilt blocks that look like pieced, you know, little pieced blocks. So there's really a lot going on in this design. So this was stitched on 32 count vintage Stormy Night Lugana. I stitched it 2 threads of DMC floss over 2 threads of the Lugana, and I used all the called for colors. I don't think I changed anything. The only thing I maybe did was, I think for some of the French knots they called for doing them in 1 strand, and I did them with 2 instead, because they were eyes and things, and I didn't feel like they were pronounced enough doing with 1 strand. So that was a finish a long time coming. So that's my one and only finish for this month. I actually thought I might have another one, but as it turns out, I don't. So very excited about that finish. My idea or my thought is to turn it into a pillow, like for, to display on the couch or something. And I don't really have time to do that for this year, so I'm just not going to worry about it for right now. But I don't really decorate a lot for Halloween. My kids are adults, so, that's not a big deal. But it'd be nice, I'll totally put it out for Halloween. I mean, it's a really nice piece, and I think it would look really nice as a cushion. So if you want to see some close-up pictures of it or more, you can check out my Instagram. As I said, I'm Stitch Brat, and I published a reel and some photographs just yesterday or the day before that kind of showcase parts of it a little more up close if you want to see those. Okay, I did have some new starts this month, but I'm going to just talk about those in the course of talking about my whips. I think that's just an easier way to do it. Okay, so my first whip, I guess, is my Scrabble piece. And this is the chart. And it's from Vivian Powers, who is Vivsters, is the name of her shop on Etsy. And she has some just wonderful designs. She has a series of game boards, backgammon, checkers, Scrabble, some other things. So if you like this kind of thing, definitely check her out. She's got some really great stuff. Okay, this is kind of hard to show because it's getting quite big. But I'm going to do my best here. I hate taking the time to do these clips, but they really do help. All right, here's Scrabble. I can almost get it in the picture. There we go. So this is my morning coffee project. I work on it every day with my morning coffee. So maybe half an hour to an hour every day, depending on, how much time I have that day. Days when I work in my office, go in the office, I only have a little bit of time in the morning, but like on weekends and stuff, I spend longer. So I just finished this row, I think this morning. So I've got 2 more complete rows to go, and then of the inner tiles, and then I have to do there's black like this between all the tiles, and then I have some embellishments and things to add. And then I have to figure out how I'm gonna finish it. But I plan to make this an actual game board. I believe I said before I want to use it as a travel game board, but I actually want to use it to play on. So because of that, this is stitched on 28 count white linen, and so it had to be 28 count so that the squares, those squares inside would be the right size to hold an actual Scrabble tile, the letter tiles. So that's why I did it on that fabric. Vivian tells you that if you do it on a different fabric, the actual playing tiles won't fit. And here's the threads for those. I'm doing the traditional colorway. So there's, here's the blues and the reds, and then there's different colors for the inner tiles. But she also offers I don't know if she calls it a modern colorway or just an alternative colorway, but it's very pretty and it's different. And I almost went with that, but then, I don't know, at the last minute I decided to go traditional. Okay, my next piece, I don't believe I have a picture, or a printed copy, so I'm going to have to pop a picture in here. And this is Wedding Tree, my Wedding Tree piece. This is from Nikki Pattern. Also on, she's also on Etsy. And you may remember that this piece is one that's going to be a gift for a coworker of mine. And in fact, she just got married last Saturday. It was the 21st. So, so here's where I am. Obviously, I didn't have this done in time for the wedding, but that's fine. I mean, I wasn't going to the wedding. I mean, she's my coworker. We're not super close personal friends. So I knew I wouldn't be going to the wedding or anything. So I figured as long as I had it done within a couple weeks of the wedding so I could give it to her, that would be fine. So, I mean, as you can see, or I think I've talked about before, you know, I have the tree in brown, and then I've got sort of 4 waves of fall colored leaves going kind of lighter to darker. And then their names and the date will be down here. And then here's the 2 wedding couple birds, the man and woman. And then down here on this branch where these little spaces are, oops, I should be using my pointer for these things. Where these little spaces are, the groom here had 3 children by his previous marriage. So there's going to be 3 baby birds down here. Just as an acknowledgement that, you know, they're a whole family and it's not just the 2 of them, even though they're the 2 getting married. So I'm almost done. I just have some leaves to finish, and then the names and date. And then I have to, well, I still have quite a bit. I have to find a frame, and I have to frame it. It's pretty small. I'm pretty sure this will fit in an standard 8x10 frame. If not, it's the next size, but I'm pretty sure it's an 8x10. I stitched this on 36 count Vintage Country Mocha linen, and here's just my little bag of threads. I mean, I just picked out colors. I picked out 4 variegated DMC flosses for the leaves, kind of going dark to light, and then I picked out a brown for the tree, and then I ended up using kind of a burnt orange to do the actual, to do the actual birds. And I just want to say, if you've never worked with these DMC variegated flosses, which I had not worked with before, they're really wonderful. These are the ones, okay, there's 2 kinds of DMC variegated flosses. There's ones with sort of a white or yellow label, and then the other ones I think have a blue label. And I actually wanted to find out what the difference was before I bought one or the other. And I found out that this variety, which is the ones that are numbered in the 4000s, the colors change so that you have a new color every approximately like 4 to 7 stitches. The other ones, the ones with the blue label, are much more like closely variegated, and you get a new color basically every 1 to 2 stitches. So depending on the look you're going for, you know, if you want the color to change every 1 to 2 stitches, you'd want to get the other one. This is the more subtle variegation, I guess. I mean, not subtle in terms of, there's definitely different colors in here, but subtle, more subtle in terms of how long it takes to transition from one color to the next color. But I was glad to know that, because I'd not worked with any DMC variegated flosses before that. And I really like them, and they're very affordable, especially compared to you know, other variegated flosses. And being DMC, they're completely color fast, which is, I think, is wonderful too. Okay, I've got my coffee again here today because if you've ever spoken in front of a group or done floss tubes or filmed for anything or done anything, you know, if you talk any amount more than what you normally do, your throat gets very dry. And boy, it happens to me for sure. Okay, my next whip, I'm trying to think how, running with scissors, how Jane says it, whip. She always cracks me up. By the way, if you don't watch them, Running with Scissors, Stitching with Jane and Julie, you need to watch them. They are hilarious. I can never get through a video without laughing out loud. Okay, my next whip or whip is Soup of the Day. And this is a pattern. I don't have a picture of the finished design, so I'll have to pop one in here. This is a wreath kind of design, and this is from Oh My Stitches, also on Etsy. And I've done a couple of her wreaths before, and she has very pretty wreath designs. She has a lot of snarky wreaths or irreverent ones. This one is mild. She has some ones that are not quite so mild. So if you're interested in that, I invite you to check her out. But here's where I am. So I have probably I'm a little more than a quarter of the way. I think there's 3 groupings of flowers. So I'm maybe a third, getting close to a third done. And I'll move this in a little bit so you can see. The colors in this are really beautiful. This is an extremely cheery thing to work on, especially in cold weather. There's beautiful pinks and oranges, and just, it's really pretty and fun to work on. And this is super easy to work on too. It's just, the chart's easy to see. It doesn't use a ton of colors. It's really, I love it. And I'm stitching that on, this is a piece of that 32 count cream linen that I've mentioned before that I had a big piece of many years ago, and that was kind of that's the last scrap, I think, of that whole piece that I had. But a good use for it. I'm excited about doing that. Obviously there's no deadline or anything to get that done, just whatever. Okay, my next whip is another Carolyn Manning, and as you'll probably remember if you've seen any of my previous Flosstubes, Carolyn Manning is absolutely one of my favorite designers. I love quilt-based designs in particular, and she does the most fantastic ones, and she models them on all kinds of quilts, or uses all kinds of quilts for inspiration, I should say. So I've actually bought a couple of new patterns that are based on some quilt designs that I haven't done before. So I'm excited to get those started at some time in the future. But this is Carrot Cake, and this is from the Shooting Star collection. And you may remember I finished the opal colorway of this earlier this year. And I've also done the Shooting Star colorway, which was the original colorway, which was like kind of a crayon box of bright colors. So this one was Carrot Cake, and this is Carrot Cake, and this is, I started a sal for this for my birthday embarrassingly, in 2021. No. Yes. I think it was 2021. It's been a long time coming, this one. But these are big designs. They're like 189 by 189, and of course they're full coverage. So, you know, they take a while to stitch up. But Carrot Cake is coming along. So here's where I am. Obviously working toward the middle there. I think this past month I did this area, and well, actually I came across, and then I've been working up in here. So I tend to leave little open areas when I stitch anything that's a full coverage. So one of the things I'm trying to do is go back and make sure I've got all those little like sometimes there's a tiny triangle or two here and there that I have to fill in. So I'm trying to get all those done so that I can just then move on and finish that middle area, which, you know, I'd love to have done soon. To me, this looks like for sure a finish this year, but it just depends on how diligent I am. But I intend to keep working on it. The colors are very fall colors, and so it's fun to work on right now, especially. This is on 32 count light taupe Lugana with the called for colors and 2/2. So 2 strands of floss over 2 threads of the Lugana. And I've mentioned this before, but my eventual plan is, because I have numerous colorways of shooting star going, as well as some other quilt-based designs, I want to make them all into pillows that kind of go together. So I'm doing them all on similar fabrics. I mean, usually Lugana, just in a different color. So I'm hoping to keep working on that one for sure. Okay, the next one is a sampler. This was a sampler that I totally had meant to get to for Sampler September, and I didn't. This is my biggest, no, well, this is close to my biggest sampler, if not my biggest one. This is Louise Lallier, and I'll bring it close. This is from Reflet des Soies, which obviously is a French design company, and they reproduce, I believe, all French samplers. And if you look through their offerings, I mean, most of their samplers are from the late 1800s, and this one is actually 1901, I believe. Yeah, 1901. The French girls just had, I mean, there was a certain style, and of course, you know, that's true of any area. They had their own way of doing things, or just their own things that were popular. And the French samplers, a lot of them have these just beautiful, elaborate floral borders, or floral with birds and things. I mean, just tons of colors. And then a lot of them have these really pretty pastoral kind of scenes. Obviously we've got some wildlife here. We've got chicken and, you know, donkey up here, and just some really pretty elements to that sampler. And this is huge. So I'm definitely going to put this one on the board. So give me just a minute here and let me clip it. This one, I don't even know when I started, but I really would like to work more on it, because I don't work enough on it. I work enough on it to make progress, but I would like to get it done at some point. So here she is. Here's Louise Lallier. And I realize I'm not getting the whole thing in there, so I will move it up in just a minute. But so that's how much I have done. All the alphabet, basically, and then I think that bird is finished. And then I started there's a little something in here. So I started that. And then I'm continuing the border. So I actually this is what I worked on this month. I did several of these flowers, and this is the end of the border. Starting here, this I think is the bottom stitch. Well, no, that's probably not right. That's the bottom stitch of the border going this way, and then it turns, so there's probably a few rows down here, because obviously it mimics the way you turn up here. So I'm just about to turn the corner here, and I have that much of the border to finish, which, you know, is a lot. Those flowers take lots of time, and that's all I worked on this month, was just the flowers and the border. But I love Louise. I adore Louise, and I would like to stitch other French samplers too, because Reflet des Soies has some wonderful ones. So So this is stitched on 36 count, what is it? Cream. It's cream linen, I believe. No, wrong. Sorry, it's ivory linen by Zweigart. And that's actually, if you've ever looked at their linens, that's actually a big mistake I just made. Zweigart cream linen has a very, it's warm. It has a warm tone to it, which I think would have probably been fine, but I wanted more of a cool toned neutral for this. So ivory is the same type of neutral, but with cooler tones. And I love that. I love that color. So Reflet de Soie is usually charted in silk, and then they give you usually at least one alternative thread, DMC, which is also a French company, is given in this one. So I actually considered doing the silk because I love this sampler so much, but you know, there's like 60 some colors, 66 colors or something, and I hadn't even started it, and I added up how much the silk was going to be, and I mean, it's not that I couldn't have afforded it, but you know, I just couldn't bring myself to maybe invest $200 or more than $200 in silk when I hadn't really worked very much with silk before, and you know, what if I didn't like it, or what if I didn't like the pattern? I mean, that's an awful lot of money to kind of go down the drain. So I went with the DMC, and I mean, frankly, I think it looks fantastic. If I do another Reflet de Soie, I might try to do it in silk, maybe one with slightly fewer colors, since I don't really have any kind of a library of silks at all. It would be nice if I didn't have to buy, you know, 80 colors, but we'll see what happens with that. So my plan is to keep working on that. But I was sorry I didn't get to Louise for Sampler September, so she got Sampler October instead. And even though it probably doesn't look like I made a ton of progress, I really worked on her a lot. She got like 5 or 6 full evenings, which is, you know, not bad, but it's tedious stitching. So, well, tedious has a negative connotation, so I don't mean it like that, but just, you have to focus, you have to be careful, can't be having a glass of wine while you work on Louise. Okay. Oh, my next one is this one. Okay, my next one is actually a new start. And you may remember, if you've seen any of my previous floss tubes, that I did 2 little birds previously from a set of 3 from Nikki Pattern. And actually, I'll put a picture of the set of 3 right here. Actually, sorry, it's a set of 4. I'll put that picture right here. So I've stitched 2 of them. I did one for cross stitch camp this summer, and then I did a second one. So I just was kind of in the mood, and I started a 3rd one. So I'll just hold this one up because she's small. So this is this is bird number 1, I think officially is this bird's title. But since I gave my other 2 names, we had Larry Bird was the first one I did, and then we had Admiral Bird was the second one. This is Lady Bird. So I just call her Lady, of course, for short. And I'm going to just show you the color palette here because there's only a few colors. Oops. So here's the colors. There's a couple turquoises and an orange and that dark copper color, and then a white and a gray. And all 4 of the birds use the same colors. So I just made this little thread card, and then I just have kept refilling the thread card as I needed to do the additional birds. So at some point I probably will do the 4th bird after I finish this, because they're really fun and they're easy to stitch. They're quick. I mean, not you know, 2 days quick, but you know, you can easily get them done along with doing other things. And I'm stitching all the birds, I have stitched all the birds on 18 count light, I believe it's light oatmeal, Ada. And I had a big piece of that for some kits that I was redoing the fabric in the kits, so I just had chunks of that left, so that's what I'm using for that. Okay, next is Circus of Circles, and this is by Ink Circles, and you might be familiar with this pattern. Tracy has a series of the circus patterns, and so there's circuses of different shapes. There's a circus of triangles, there's hearts, there's circles, I forget what else, squares, I think, rectangles. Anyway, they're all great. I'd love to stitch them all, but they're big pieces. So this is Circus of Circles, and you can see she shows it on stitched in kind of golds, variegated gold floss on black fabric, and I really like that look. I just took it a little more, I guess, extreme than what she had it, and I'm using a floss that's got more colors in it, but basically the same types of tones. It's this. So this is a silk floss from, I believe, a California company called Dying for Cross Stitch. And this is a hank of their silk floss. The color of this is called Earthwalker. But I will tell you that for the silks, Dying to Cross Stitch does not, all their silk colorways are just one-offs. Like whatever they produce, that's all that they sell. They're not repeating colors like they do for their cotton flosses. Maybe that, I'm assuming that silk dyes differently and they can't get them exactly the same. So I don't think you can get Earthwalker right now. I was on their site the other day, but they're similar. She's got some similar colorways, and there's always beautiful ones. So anyway, here's where I am on Circus of Circles. And basically I did that second circle away from the corner this past month, or most of it, and came down a little bit on that side border. So as you can see underneath, I'm starting, there's a big circle there. I just have the top of it started. But this is, I just love this. Wow, I don't know what happened to my light there. That's much better. This is obviously more the true colors. It's fun to work on. The colors against the black are just amazing, and this is one of the first pieces I've ever done with silk, and it's certainly the first where I've really, the first really complicated silk piece I've done. And you know, I've just found that silk takes a little bit of practice to get used to working with it, and it's very delicate, so you have to be more careful than you would with a lot of other kinds of floss, but it's totally worth it. And I will say the prices of Dying for Cross Stitches silks are very reasonable. So if you want to try some silk and don't want to break the bank, I bought the biggest sized hanks, but she's got, like, I think the smallest is 10 yards, and they're very reasonably priced. So, and oh my gosh, her shipping is like, I swear, I've ordered from her several times, and every time, like 2 days later, it's in my mailbox. And I'm like, I'm all the way across the country from her. I don't know how in the world she does that, but I love it. I have my stuff like right away. So I would recommend, that's a great place to try silk. But I will say this about silk: every silk brand and type is a little bit different. So, you know, if you do or don't like this, the next one you use might be different. So I think you do have to play around with them a little bit and see, but very cost effective. She's got, okay, My next one is something of a fan favorite, particularly on Instagram. I always get lots of comments whenever I show this one. And it's a favorite of mine too. Where's my clips here? So this is my Martin Luther King piece, and here's the finished, what it'll look like finished. This is from a shop on Etsy called Mumla Cross Stitch, Mumla X Stitch, M-U-M-L-A. But I will tell you that her shop is not operational right now because she's a Russian designer and you can't access her things right now. But when her shop was open, she had this style of pattern of many like celebrities, musicians, presidents, political figures, just other famous people. And, you know, I'm sorry I didn't buy more of them because they're really wonderful. But here's where I am on Dr. King. And I think he is looking really good. You know, his face is really getting filled in. Okay, so this month I worked around his nose area. I'm trying to get that filled in. But then what I also did was I came up here, and what I wanted to do was have some areas outlined that I can use to fill in when I have virtual meetings at work and things, and I don't even want to have to look at a chart. I can just, you know, fill in the area without looking. So that's what these are. I outlined these, and then I started to fill this one in. And I'm going to do that with a couple more. I think I have a hanging needle there. I usually poke it in the fabric. I'm not sure what happened there. And this one too, I'm going to fill in or extend because it goes down here. It goes almost to the end of the piece, I think. So then I have a bunch of different areas that I can work in for my next few meetings, and I'll be all set. So Dr. King is on 32 count white Lugana, and I just used, he calls for DMC, and I just used all the called for colors. The only thing I'm doing that's just slightly different is for some of the very dark colors, particularly there's a black, and then there's, what's that dark navy blue, 839, I think. I'm stitching those with 3 strands instead of 2 because this is really bright white fabric, and I've just felt like you could see too much of the background, like in his hair and some of the other black areas, with 2 strands. So for those areas I'm doing 3. But otherwise it's 2, and it's all the called for colors. I didn't change anything on that at all. Okay. All right, my next piece, I have a picture, but it's very tiny, so instead I'm going to put one here. This is Spell of the Moon, and many of you will be familiar with this. This is from Blackbird Designs. I believe this was in the Winds of Autumn book, but I actually already own this from when it was released as a standalone pattern. Let me fold this because I got other stuff on here. Oops. I got a needle sticking in here too. What do you know? Let me take care of that. Okay. So this is where I am on Spell of the Moon. I kind of hope to have this one done by Halloween, but as you can see, I didn't quite make it. I don't have too much left, but that moon is actually pretty intense. And then there's a house below there. And I have to finish filling in the owl. So there's quite a bit of stitching left. If I'd really pushed it, I probably could have gotten it done, but my priority was getting that Halloween hijinks done. So, but I'm happy with where this is, and I actually might work on this like today. That'd be a fun thing to work on. So this is on, this fabric is 32 count murky linen from Picture This Plus. And I mean, I'll just say it, I'm not a fan of Picture This Plus fabrics. I think the colors are gorgeous, but for me they're hard to stitch on because of the way the fibers sort of puff up. But I don't care. I will buy murky. It is the most fantastic fabric, and not just for Halloween stuff. It's a great color for all kinds of things. So that's Spell of the Moon, and let's see. I'm using all the called for. There's my little. There's only like 3 or 4 colors in there, but they're all just over dyes. That's the Yellow for the Moon, which is really super pretty. That moon is gorgeous. So as I think I've mentioned before, I don't do very many pieces in over dyes, even if they're called for, but that one seemed to call for it. Okay, my next one is another new start, and so I mentioned this I think last time. Carolyn Manning has a new stitch along starting November 1st. It's called the Star Touched Meadow Sal, and what it is, I don't have anything printed out, so I will pop in. This is her teaser picture that gives you an idea. So what it is 12 mini shooting star patterns, and one for each month, and each month is themed after a flower that's associated with that month. So it starts in November, and if you've joined the SAL already, which I have, we got the November chart, and it's chrysanthemum is the color that was inspirational to Carolyn for November. And I don't know what I was going to say about that, but anyway, so there's obviously a flower for each month. So in addition to getting the first chart, which officially it starts November 1st, but in addition to the first chart, if you wanted to do them all together on one piece of fabric, like what she's showing on that little teaser picture, she also gave us, where's my top? She also gave us the layout to do all the little pieces on one piece of fabric. And I decided that is what I wanted to do. So what I did was I decided to go ahead and get started on those borders or the frames, because she gave us the colors too, so we know the color of the frame for each month. And they actually went much faster than I anticipated, and I managed to get all 12 of them done. So now I know you probably can't, this being Flosstube and imperfect lighting and all that, they probably all look like the same color, but each one is actually different. There's some greens, December is like a really pretty red, July is like a really pretty plum. They're just some very nice colors. So I'm stitching this on, this fabric is a baby pink Ada, which probably just looks white to you, but it's a very pale pink, and it's an 18 count Ada. And I picked that, well, I wanted pale pink fabric, and I couldn't find any linen in a high enough count. I don't want this to be, this is already, as you can see, this is 18 count, and it's pretty big. So I did not want a huge piece. So I wanted to stick to the 18 count or 36 count. So that's how I ended up with the baby pink Ada, but it's great. It's easy to stitch on. So my plan on that is November 1st, I will get started on the first chart. And hilariously, I think there's 12 colors in the first chart, and you know how you feel like you own every DMC color there is, and yet when you actually go to kit something up, you don't have all the colors. I only needed like 12 or 13 colors for the November chart, and I didn't have 3 of them, which I could hardly believe. And I just spent a big ton of time yesterday putting old flosses away. So I probably have some out in other projects, but still, it was very annoying that I had to go buy 3 flosses. But now I'm all set. I'm all set for, when's the first? Wednesday, I think. Okay, next one is my last whip. And this is another Carolyn Manning design. It's another Shooting Star colorway. And this one is called Arctic Blast. And this is a free pattern if you are in Carolyn's Facebook group. She released it there. And oh, I don't have a picture, so I will put in a picture right here. So this was to commemorate the Arctic blast of the winter of 2022, so last year. And I think this came out like sometime in December, and then I think this might have been my New Year's start or somewhere around there. So here's where I am on it. Not very far, but I have a good portion of the top of page 1 and 2 done. So there's the end of the fabric, so you can see where it'll go to. So there's all kinds of beautiful blues and grays and kind of gray greens, very, very wintry kinds of colors there. And I'd actually made a mistake on this. I miscrossed some stitches, and I posted this on Instagram the other day, and thank goodness somebody noticed and mentioned that to me, so I was able to fix it. So this is on, I think I mentioned all my Shooting Stars. I'm putting on 32 count Lugana. Same with this. This color is either Silver Moon or Silvery Moon Lugana. So it's just a very pale gray or silver color, and I think those kind of winter time flosses look really nice on there. So I'm probably going to be working on that again. It's funny, I think I've said before on here, and I've said on Instagram, that I'm not a seasonal stitcher, but maybe I have to change that, because I've just noticed lately that I've really been enjoying stitching some seasonal things. It was fun finishing up Halloween hijinks right around Halloween. I really enjoyed stitching on Carrot Cake, which is totally fall colors. And I mean, I just felt this kind of itch to get out Arctic Blast and maybe some of my Christmas stitching that I have to lead up to the holidays. And that's not like me. I mean, I normally don't care that much about stitching in season, but I don't know. I guess I'm changing. Okay, so that's all my whips. But I'm going to show one other thing that because I'm going to start this, well, if not today, in the next few days, because I meant to start it already, but again, I was just finishing up. I wanted to get Halloween hijinks done. So this is, am I going to be able to do this without, well, I really don't want to take it out of the bag. This is Jardin Privé. This is that, here we go. I'll do it like this. I'm not sure, I showed this before, but it's like a year of birdhouses, or there's 12 birdhouses, and each one is kind of themed to represent, a month. And this is a stitch along that Brenda, Handwork Maniac, and Colette, the Highway Stitcher, are doing. And Colette has divided up the chart into 12, and they do this every year. It's the October to October Sal. If you want to know the exact hashtag, I can't remember it right now, but you can watch Brenda's video, which you probably do anyway, or Colette's, which you probably do anyway. And they do a Sal like this every year, so that they finish up when they meet at Stitch West. And last year they did a pattern that I had that I really wanted to do, and I never got around to starting it. And this year I decided I was going to start it and try to keep up with them. So I haven't started it yet because I was finishing hijinks, but I'm going to start it. Got all my flosses, just got to get them ready. And then I think I'm going to do it on this fabric. I don't know if you probably can't get a very good idea. Sorry for all the glare. I don't want to take these out of the plastic though. But there, that's a little better. This is photographing kind of, or filming kind of gray, and it's not gray. It's blue. It's a really pretty, like icy blue. So I thought that would look. I did a floss toss, and it looked really nice. So I think I'm gonna do that. Okay, so that's all my whips and all my my planned start. Okay, so instead of doing, I mentioned instead of doing supply replenishment this month, and I think also instead of my teeny topic, because I'm already getting close to an hour, I'm going to just feature, my next thing is some Happy Mail that I got. And what happened was I was contacted by Hobby Jobby, and if you're not familiar with them, Hobby Jobby is a cross stitch and craft retailer in the UK, and it's Hobby Jobby, Jobby. So they reached out to me and asked if I was interested in basically receiving a mystery box from them. And I mean, who's going to say no to that, right? So I said, of course, and I did get to pick, I got to pick a kit, and then they said they'd put some other stuff in there with my kit, and they did indeed. So this is the box that I got a week or so ago, and it came super fast, Royal Mail, and I couldn't believe how fast it came. So what I'm going to do is just show you what's in it. And I have opened it, so hopefully it'll be kind of quick. So the first thing that was on top was this. It was a color card for Luca S floss. And Luca S is one of the brands that they carry, and it's a European kit. They do kits, and I'm doing one of the Luca S kits, and they're fantastic. I mean, they're very high quality. The threads are either Anchor or actually, they have their own floss brand, and that's what this is. So this is a color card for their flosses, which not actual samples, but it's the plastic color card. And then I got some samples of Luca S floss, a couple different colors. There's a pink and a white here. So I'm definitely going to try those, maybe for a Valentine's project. And then there was also a little needle minder tucked in that envelope. And so maybe I'll do the big kits last. So they also tucked in 3 tiny kits. This one is to make a postcard, and this is the design, which is actually quite pretty. So I'm not exactly sure what you stitch there. I think it's this is what you stitch, and because this looks like the printed postcard. So I'll have to see, but that's really cute. I've never really done cards or anything, so that's cute. And this makes a little bag, this kit. I guess these are Luca S kits too. They're just small ones. And this has like sparkly, I don't know if you can see, but it has like sparkly fabric. It's quite pretty. So that'd be a cute little gift. And then this is another postcard kit with florals. That one's quite pretty. So yeah, again, I think you stitch this middle thing because the postcard looks like it's printed with the flowers. So obviously just a quick and easy little thing there. Very cute. All right. And then in addition to the kit I picked out, they sent me another full-size kit. And they have their own brand of kits, Hobby Jobby kits, and they sent me one of those, and this is it. This says The Silence. Isn't that pretty? So you can see they have kind of the same, if you're familiar with Luca S kits, they kind of give you all the information right there on the bottom, and this kit is quite similar to that, how they're doing it. So I can't see, I haven't opened up the actual envelope that it came in. So, and I'm not going to right now, but I'm assuming that the flosses are, it doesn't say they're carded the same way, but I bet you that they are. So maybe I can report more when I open this up next time, but that's quite pretty. So, and then the kit that I picked, that they sent me, is this one. Paris in Flower. So, I have been in love with this kit for a long time, and I just never bit the bullet and bought it. In fact, it's been in my cart at 1-2-3 Stitch probably for like a year or more. As you can see, very complicated, very elaborate. And that's probably why I haven't bought it, because it's almost full coverage. And although, you know, I have some complicated pieces, I mean, I've never done anything like this, a full coverage piece that's anything like the confetti and stuff and these flowers and stuff. So I'm sort of terrified. But I figured, wow, this is a great, you know, a great opportunity to get this kit that I've kind of mooned over for a long time. And so I'm thinking that this is going to be a January start, like a New Year's start. Maybe not on New Year's Day, but something along that line. And then the last thing that's in the box is, oops, a Nurge hoop. And I'm not sure if this is the biggest size. It might not be now that I look at it, because I think I have a couple of Nurge hoops. This might be the second biggest size, but I have used their hoops and I like them. The square shape can actually be very useful for certain projects, and sometimes I suit my hoop to the project, you know, depending on that. Like I need something square, or I need something bigger than what I usually use for some certain reason. So let me just put these kits back in here real quick so I can put this away. All right, so that was everything, and thank you so much to Hobby Jobby, and I'm really looking forward to starting all this stuff, and I will report back to you guys on what I think of. They knew that I had done a Luca S kit before, so that I really like the quality of it. So I'm sure I won't have any complaints about that one, except maybe for how hard it is, and that's not their fault. Okay, so plans, just really quickly. I am going to a small retreat the second weekend of October, November. So I'm trying to get ready for that and decide what I'm going to bring. And I can tell you a little bit about that next time. So my plans are, I need to finish the wedding tree, obviously, like probably this week I'll get that finished. And then I need to find a frame and get it framed. It's small, so I shouldn't have any trouble framing it, and then I'll give it to my friend at work. So once that's done, I need to probably turn my attention to my Liza's bouquet, which has been languishing. And if you remember that one, all the stitching is done, and all I have to do is the back stitch. All I have to do, like it's nothing. So I have to do the back stitch on that, and I have started it, but you know, there's tons to do, and I really want to get that piece finished this year, so I need to get back to that. I'm going to start the birdhouses, Sal, probably today, tomorrow, something very soon. I'm going to start that Star Touched Meadows, the first chart, the November chart. I'm going to start that on Wednesday, since that's the official start date. And then I don't know. Arctic Blast has been kind of calling to me, Carrot Cake, And like I said, some other seasonal things, even though supposedly I'm not a seasonal stitcher. So, so I guess that's pretty much everything I've got. And hey, I'm right at an hour this time, which I like. So friends, I'm going to leave you there for now. And until I see you again, just try to slow down and enjoy things and take life one stitch at a time. And I'll see you in about a month. Bye.